right?
We do it live every Monday.
That's right. Every Monday, live.
Hello, friends.
Hi.
We're live.
Hello, all
We
you
are live.
tortured poets. Hello.
Hello. It is the Sam and Vince show.
That's right.
Tyler had to take the evening off. He's battling a little bit of a cold, so
Yeah,
I'm
he's down
sure
bad right now.
he's armchair quarterbacking right now. So,
I'm gonna
so
see how many
hopefully,
Taylor Swift lyrics song titles I can squeeze into this show from the new album.
hopefully he's gonna feel better by next week. So,
It'll be a full fortnight between appearances of Tyler on this show. So there's 2 of them so far already.
always fun to sneak in a fortnight.
Yeah.
Vince, how you been, buddy?
I'm doing okay. Just living the dream, right? As the cliche goes.
I'm living the nightmare.
Right, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I was I built a fence at my grandma's house over the weekend. So it was one of those things you like hammer the post in and then it's like 4-foot sections of fence and you slide it on the post and then you move on to the next one. So so that was exhausting. And then, just get a little concussed from, doors closing on the top of your head. Little minor things like that, but totally fine. Everything's good.
Who needs brain cells, Vince? This is a sports talk radio show.
That's right. That's right.
That's true.
I don't use my degree for shit here, man.
All right. Well, as people are settling in and sitting down in front, not really a whole lot of scores to go over here, Vince, but
right.
Why don't we go over, start off with basketball. The Warriors, unfortunately, were eliminated last week.
They lose handily, 118-94 in Sacramento. That means the season is over. Where it says upcoming, I usually put in our show doc the next games for the next week. I put 2024-25 season in October, crying emoji. So the season is really and truly done. The Kings went on to play in New Orleans, and they lost that game. So your 7 seed in the West is the Lakers, who beat the Pelicans, and then the 8 seed is the Pelicans, who got revenge against the Kings. So that's kind of how the playoff play-in tournament broke down in the West, at least.
Yeah, we all predicted the Warriors would win, thinking that championship DNA would show up, and it did not.
No, not
the Warriors looked old, slow, unmotivated. Clay literally couldn't buy a shot. So if that's his last game in a Warrior uniform, what a awful, sad way to go out.
It's tough to think about that.
Specifically about this game, Vince, what did you think about the game itself?
Tyrion Jackson Davis, he just looked lost early on, and then Kerr pulled him, and that was basically it for him. He didn't feel like he could trust him to put him back out there. He is a rookie center after all, and centers do take the longest to develop. So it kind of surprised me that he didn't get another chance really until the game was well out of hand late in the fourth quarter. I would have liked to have seen him coach him up a little bit on the sidelines and then maybe give him one more shot at it because he was so dynamic throughout the regular season. He stole Looney's job from him,
Yeah.
And he just didn't get another chance though. That was a real short leash. And I don't know, man, I would have liked to have seen if he could have learned on the fly. That's one of the things that Kerr doesn't really give his rookies a long leash. If they start messing up, they're done. So, and for it during the regular season, I get that. And even in the playoffs, I get that too. But this was like the game was getting out of hand pretty quickly and the Warriors needed a jump and needed a spark. And he's somebody, while he was making mistakes on the defensive side, he can provide that spark as well. So I wish he would have gotten a little bit more run.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of agree with many of the young players. Moody wasn't going to really get any playing time in this game, and he was one of the few players that looked decent. I think that's kind of been a question with Warriors fans, right? Like, how come Moody never gets any consistent run? It seems like whenever he is put in a position to come off the bench or start or wherever, he plays hard. He's high energy. He tries to be a spark. He does his job. It seems like he's greatly improved, but for whatever reason, it seems like Moses Moody can't even like get in the good graces of Coach Kerr. So a lot of people are talking about how come Moody doesn't get any run. I think he's a player that we've wanted to see over the past few years. Kuminga didn't look very good himself. Didn't look bad, just looked kind of average. The whole team looked that way during this Keems game. It just did not look very competitive. Seems like the Kings maybe, not that the players were celebrating, but the Kings, they died shortly after. So no teams went to the playoffs in this bracket. Going back to the Warriors, what do you think we're going to do going forward? Is this the end of the big three? What do you do? Where are we at with it?
Obviously, at this point, they're not going to pay Klay a lot. Klay just he's not the same as much as we wish he was. He's just not the same. He's not since those injuries, and they did pay him before those injuries, and he's made a ton of money from the Warriors, and then endorsements and everything. He's on Subway commercials like Steph. So in terms of actual like money, I don't think the Warriors are going to pay him a lot. That's where I think he could end up going elsewhere. I mean, I put in our show doc, Dallas and Orlando in particular are two teams that might be interested in a shooter, especially somebody that that's a future Hall of Famer. If he's still good enough to play in the league, obviously he just had a really bad night. Having somebody like that on your bench, who can come in like kind of what Kyle Korver did at the end of his career, I think that's kind of where Klay is now. I think is probably the Kyle Korver.
So like your key word bench. You think Klay is a bench player at this point moving forward?
I think so. If he stays on the Warriors, he has to be. I think because the younger players are better now than like Patrick Baldwin and Pat McCaw, whoever the hell else we had, in the last few years. Like these guys are a lot better on the bench. And so
my first question to you was going to be, what do you do with the big three? Do the Warriors try to run it back? Meaning the big three, right? Steph, Klay, Draymond.
Yeah. I think if the price is
Klay part, right? I think he's going to walk.
I think he gets more money. Yeah.
Financially, it doesn't make sense to pay him, especially with they've been in the luxury tax penalty for how many years now?
Tons of years. The last 5 at least. I mean,
so it sounds like you let Klay walk. Sounds like you're letting Chris Paul explore his exit, right?
Yeah. Well, Chris Paul has a player option, so he would have to opt out, and we'll see if he does that or not. If he can get a 2-year contract from somebody else, I think he will as well.
I think somebody would. I think we saw a tweet come through that he met with the Spurs, or he's interested in opting out and talking to the Spurs. I think a young team would pay him, would allow him to be a starter, where if he's with the Warriors, he's not going to start. So I think somewhere he can go and start would be the biggest thing. Maybe he makes less money, but he's going to start.
Yeah, that's true too.
So,
that's a good point.
Draymond,
the first time he hasn't been a starter. Draymond's not going anywhere. Draymond's staying put. It's sort of the whole package with Draymond. He's otherworldly, high IQ basketball wise, and then you also get all the outbursts and the idiocy, the little idiot moves that he sometimes does. Watch your balls.
Right.
So yeah, it's Draymond's not going anywhere because he's way more valuable to the Warriors than he is to any other new team, and nobody else wants to pay Draymond the contract that he's making right now. So he's staying put. Obviously, Steph is retiring a Warrior. Steph is not going anywhere. They'll never let that happen.
I agree with you on Draymond. I think like the contract is too rich. I don't think anybody's going to do the Warriors any favors and take it off their hands. So I do think the Warriors are going to be stuck with Draymond, whether there was a option or not. Like nobody's going to help him out and take Draymond. young players. Do you think there's some young players that you would move off of to retain some talent back, or where's this franchise at? Because it kind of, for me, it feels like if you can't get another star in here to like truly be that flagship superstar, we know Steph Curry is still really good, Draymond's still pretty good, but clearly this team needs a legit superstar. They don't have that right now. They need help. Is that Kuminga? Is that somebody else on the roster?
I mean, I would hope it ends up being Kuminga. I mean, you still have Andrew Wiggins too. I mean, and I don't know what you do with him.
You got to get rid of Wiggins, right? That's like the first trade that you're trying to do is probably unload Wiggins. But statistically, he had his worst year this year.
Yeah, his trade value is down a lot, and I don't know what you're going to be able to get for him. And you're definitely not getting a superstar for him. You'd have to trade away a lot of other pieces along with him in order to get rid of him. He'd have to be the throw-in to like make the money right or whatever.
You're trading him and somebody's eating that bad contract, and they're going to say, well, we want Pods or, you know,
or TJD or somebody.
Exactly. Yeah. They're going to want something of value in return.
One of the young rookies. Yeah. They may even like want Kuminga as well. I don't know, but he's the one like that you're trying to get more playing time for, right? By moving Wiggins. So that's probably a non-starter.
My feeling is that they're going to bring back Klay Thompson. Somehow they're going to bring him back, and you're going to see Steph, Klay, Draymond, Coach Kerr go out all in the same year. All their contracts, minus Klay, are timed up to exit at the same time. So I think when it's blown up for everyone. Like everyone is gone.
So basically, we're running it for 2 more years, is what you're saying?
I think so.
Yeah,
that's not like. I just think that's what's going to happen. And I think we're just going to be kind of competing for the 10, the 9.
Yeah. I mean, if things bounce right, you maybe get up to the 6, you know?
Right. Maybe some of these younger guys take great leaps. I mean, like you said, a big man, they kind of mature later. Seems to be really promising right now. So maybe by year 2, year 3, maybe that big man is really, really good. You know, maybe Pods is a starter, and maybe Moody's a starter, Kuminga's a starter, and you can't deny these guys anymore because they're taking over. And now you got Draymond and Klay coming off the bench and minimal minutes from Curry because of age. But to me, that just seems like where the Warriors are going is they're just going to ride this thing out a year too late.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see that happening. I'm not going to push back on that. And if I'm totally honest, I don't want to see Klay in another jersey. Like personally, I think that would hurt my heart to like go to a Warriors game on Klay, you know, like when Klay Thompson returns, if he like signs with Dallas or whatever, that first game with Dallas coming to San Francisco. I mean, I would love to be in that audience, but that would hurt my heart a lot to see the screen, like all the highlights and stuff, and just like the 37-point nuclear third quarter against the Kings. When was it, like a dozen years ago? And just like all of these little moments, it would be very bittersweet to see that, you know. I want to see that for a jersey retirement. That's when I want to see that. I don't want to see that before he's retired.
I just don't know. I really don't know what the Warriors can do to improve to be a legit top 3 team competing for a finals.
Right. I will say, like, their record this year as the 10 was actually better than their record last year as the 6. So like the entire conference got a lot better as well this past season. So it just like I wonder if maybe it corrects a little bit and 46 wins get you back to a 6th seed, you know, next year. I don't know. It just kind of depends. Like the teams at the bottom were really, really shit. And maybe with Memphis, with Ja Morant coming back from the injury, maybe they don't lose nearly as many games, and that just kind of brings everybody else back to the pack a little
Yeah,
bit.
I think they'll be right back in there. I mean,
exactly.
they're a young team, and he's a superstar. Whether you
Mhm.
like his off court stuff or not, he balls out.
Yeah, he's an irritant if he's not on your team.
Yeah,
for sure.
Edward Gabrielson, Draymond did have a better year this year, but again, the antics. There's how many games did he miss, and how many of those games could have potentially put you up a little bit more in the standings if you win. If he's there.
Yeah, I mean, I think they ended up 3 games out of the 6th seed or something like that.
Right.
Like 3 or 4 games. And he missed enough games that I think he would have made the difference. So
definitely. You'll never know at this point, but it's definitely as these playoffs come to a close in about a month or so. It seems like these playoffs get longer.
right.
For us, I think we're very excited to see what's going to happen in Warriors offseason. Because this is potentially the end of the run. Vince, we're old enough to remember what this Warriors franchise was before Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, and it's scary. We know what that was like when we were. Oh, maybe we'll get to 20 wins. Maybe we'll get to 30. Remember when it was like exciting when we got to 30?
Yeah, 30. This team's not. Yeah, this team is like not the worst. Yay!
Yeah, like I remember when we got to like 30 something wins.
You hit 35. I was like, you know what? Great. I'll take the 35 win season. And now, yeah.
So there's no with professional sports, there's hardly ever a storybook ending that wraps up a franchise in individual players. Usually a player will get the swan song by themselves at the end of the career, a walk-off homer, a game-winning shot, whatever, then they're gone. But as a whole team, we're not going to have perfect endings to each individual player's career. And we're already seeing that a little bit with Klay. Like, the injuries have robbed him of 3 years and everything after the injuries. I know early on we averaged out his 3-pointers made in the 2 years that he missed. And he would, you average that out, he would be like number 2 all time behind Steph. And he's most likely not going to get there. Still a Hall of Fame player, but he was robbed of being number 2 behind his running mate, because of those injuries. And it's not going to be a storybook ending for everyone. And this is the end of the Warriors, it appears, as far as the superstars.
The Warriors really thought, no, I can fix him. And no, really, they can't. It's a bummer.
No.
I did it again.
Damn. All right, Vince. We're going to move off the Warriors.
Yeah.
We're going to pass the ball over to Toronto. What's going on in Toronto, buddy?
Oh, so Jonte Porter received a lifetime ban from the NBA for violating the gaming rules. He was a two-way player. So the league conducted the investigation. A couple of the things that they saw was he disclosed on the March 20th game that he was disclosing information about his own health status to somebody he knew was a bets on NBA. So another person made an $80,000 bet on a parlay and then was obviously right because he only played 3 minutes and he bet the under on minutes for Jonte. So there was just a bunch of different little things like that. He ended up, I think he bet way more than he lost. Like he did not win a lot of money from this. I forget what the exact was. Okay, here it is.
Well, he was pulling himself out of games because he was sick, so he could hit the under on his stats.
Right.
So he was gambling on himself, gambling on teams that he played on. Definitely using insider knowledge of playing in the NBA, and like he intentionally altered his own stats.
Yep, exactly. Let's see. It says Porter placed at least 13 bets on NBA games using an associate's online betting account. These bets ranged in size from $15 to $22,000 for a total of 54,000 bets. The total payout from these bets was $76K, resulting in net winnings of $21,965.
So you risked $21,000 for I'm assuming he's getting like a league minimum of like $1 million. Like, what was he getting paid? I don't even know his contract.
Yeah, I don't know what his contract was either.
He risked $21,000. He risked his entire NBA career for $21,000.
Yeah. His brother is Michael Porter Jr.
That's not even a new car.
And I mean,
that's not even a base Honda Civic.
You're getting a 5-year-old used car, like a used Subaru from the outlet.
Not a Hyundai, brand new.
Like, nothing brand new.
Nothing new.
Yeah.
What an idiot. Mm-hmm. Oh, can you imagine just like
smallest man who ever lived, man. I swear to God, that is a small man that right there, thinking too small. The smallest man that ever lived.
Like,
again,
he should have been doing some bets like your boy over there with Shohei.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're going to go.
Yeah. Ipe did it right. Like he did a very bad thing, but he did it right. God damn it.
If you're going to screw the pooch, you might as well give it to him.
Yeah, dude, seriously.
What an idiot.
Anyway. What an idiot. Okay.
US Olympic team announcements.
Yeah, so let's move on to the US Olympic team. This is the big news we were kind of waiting for. It finally broke this past week. LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, Anthony Davis, Tyrese Halliburton, Devin Booker, Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, Bam Adebayo, and Kawhi Leonard takes the 12th spot on this team. That's a pretty stacked team. I just hope that they can figure out how to gel cohesively, because that was kind of a problem in years that they didn't win the gold in the last recent memory. This is a team that obviously the best players in the world play here in the NBA, and these are the best American players available, and I expect great things from the Olympic team. It's gold or bust as far as I'm concerned, and it will be for as long as I can think.
As long as NBA players are in the Olympics, then gold or bust for the
NBA.
Yeah,
totally.
Any issues with Curry playing in the Olympics?
No, I think this is the first time he's actually playing on the Olympic roster. He's somebody who deserves a chance to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be probably his only chance to do it too, because he's let's see, I'm 30, so he's like 36 right now, I think.
Yeah, I doubt he's going to come back at 40.
So so he'll be doing it at 40 if he doesn't do it this time. And it's just I think asking somebody at 40 to be an Olympian for the basketball team is a little rough.
Yeah.
Maybe he could try for curling or something if he wants to do it next time. But this is this is going to be his last and only chance, really. So really want this for him. This is the only thing that's not on the resume is the Olympic gold for Steph.
Yeah,
not everything else. So
I'm hoping he gets it. It's like the only accolade he doesn't have. So be cool to see him get it. All right, Vince. Anything else on basketball?
No, I think that does it for my basketball notes that I have here. Yeah, that's it for us.
Sweet, man. Well, from one net sport to the other, we
right.
got a Wrexham update.
That's right. So Wrexham, they've earned their promotion already to English Football League 1. They did get the win against Crewe Alexandra 3-0. So they're kind of locked into third place. They may get up to second place, but there's only one game left. And it doesn't really matter because the top three move on anyway. So they've They've already locked it in. They're playing Stockport, who is the team in first place. So this is a game that does not matter. You just want to get through it healthy and then enjoy the benefits of winning and moving on with your life and going on to the next league. And EFL 1 is kind of where we talked about this before. That's kind of where I felt like this team should be. And so they're going to probably be here in EFL 1 for a little while. And as the teams that are toward the bottom of the next league up, those are the ones that'll come down, right? So because of relegation, I think there's probably going to end up somewhere in the middle next year. They have to make some tweaks. And I was listening to the Men in Blazers podcast, and they were talking about Wrexham specifically. And they were talking just about how this was their first goal all along was to get back to EFL 1 and then just kind of work it out and see where it's going from there. You'll be they got to get the stands built and finished, and they got to increase money revenue streams through there. And once they figure out what that baseline is of money, that's when you can really figure out who you can sign and what, and make all your moves. And if there's a team, if they find that they have a team that's good enough to actually like push for a spot in the championship without breaking the bank, then, go for it. Obviously. I think about, it's kind of like, like when the A's were on a good spot, like, and in 2014, and they finally, like, Billy Beane finally got permission to actually go for it and make a couple of trades to try to improve the team and spend a little more money. It ended up not working for the A's that year, obviously, and then they, went to shit afterward. But it's kind of the same thought process, I think, is if you find the team is better than you expect it to be, then you can go for it. But if they're not, then just kind of be content to hang out in EFL 2 in the middle. Being in the middle is not necessarily a bad thing in football, like across the pond. We talk about being stuck in the middle, like in the NBA or hockey or baseball, like it's a really bad thing because you don't get those good draft picks, and you're not getting championships or playoffs. There's none of that in European football. There's no playoffs per se. So if you're just kind of in the
draft,
middle,
right?
There's no draft. They all have their own academies.
Players.
They sign their players. Like there's different rules for all that. So being in the middle is not necessarily the worst thing, at least while you try to find some stability.
Yeah, it sounds like, for Wrexham, like obviously staying competitive, signing some guys to stay in EFL 1, that'd be great. But as some of the income comes in, it's you're developing your academies, you're developing young players, you're developing your scouting, you're getting guys out there finding younger talent. Because you hear every few years that some soccer club found this guy and he's changing the franchise. You're always on the hunt for that franchise altering player. And it seems like that's how Wrexham is going to have to do it, is find their guys and hopefully be able to retain them because you found them first.
And they're at a league now where the money on the ownership side is getting a lot closer to where they are. So you're going to actually be competing for a lot of the same players in the same talent pool with people at your own level now. So it's going to level off a little bit at this point. They're not, Saudi billionaires that bought Chelsea or Newcastle United or whatever, So these are obviously they're Hollywood actors. They're very famous ones, and Ryan Reynolds is making a ton of money doing other side projects, but they're not Saudi billionaire or oil billionaires. So
no,
there's definitely a
there's a limit.
Balance, I guess. Yeah, there's a limit to what they can do right now. And obviously we talked about just like the leagues in general in England have a specific cap on what you can spend just based on what you earn. So any money you bring in through sponsorships and stuff, that's how you supplement that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Wrexham, congratulations to them. They got one game left. They're going to be promoted. We're definitely going to be keeping an eye on it.
And they're coming to the West Coast during the summer.
That's
well.
right. That's right.
So we kind of keep an eye on that. They're gonna say so long to London and come on over to the West Coast. There's another one. They're not really in London. I know I had to stretch a little bit, but there's another.
Well, from one franchise that's on the rise to a franchise that's on the decline.
Yeah.
San Jose Earthquakes. Why the hell we're even score?
4-3. They lose against LA Galaxy. They're dead last. They only have one win on the season. They're starting to figure out goal scoring a little bit, but their defense is shit. They're at Nashville next week on
1-0-8.
Yeah, 1 win, 0 draws, 8 losses. Pitiful. I mean,
jeez,
that's I'm wondering how long the coach is going to hang on because they're going to demand something happen. John Fisher is really the problem. I think we all know that at this point. We don't have to go on another tirade about that. We all know what's really happening here, and it's just I hate this. I hate this so much.
It's just there's not even an effort to field a competitive team. Mm-hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong, Vince. We got the Oakland Roots drawing the San Jose Earthquakes in a match.
On May
7th.
On May 7th.
May 6th. Is it May 7th?
It's 7th. It's the 7th. Down at PayPal Park on a Tuesday. It's going up on a Tuesday. There's a
it's going to be rowdy. It is going to be rowdy.
Yeah. Two fan bases that are, geographically very close. Obviously, these teams don't play each other. They're in different leagues entirely. But both of them have the same message, and that message is "fuck John Fisher." So that's nice, and I'll be interested to see when certain chants start, being chanted. It'll be a lot of fun to see how that goes. If you got the time on a Tuesday to get down to San Jose in a couple of weeks, I think it might be worth your time if you've got the time and the money to do it. That could be a lot of fun. I don't. Yeah.
I think I'm feeling sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Might have to call out that day.
Yeah. Yeah. So that kind of I don't want to talk about the Earthquakes anymore right now. It's just too depressing. So let's move on to Bay FC. Unfortunately, they took a couple of huge L's. We're gonna talk NWSL now. Tim, if you could put the graphic up for that. Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, they surrendered 2 goals in the first 6 minutes. Defense has really just not been there, and unfortunately, they lost their captain, Alex Loetta. She tore her ACL in the 32nd minute, so they already surrendered 2 goals at that point. But she's like obviously a very important piece. She was the first player ever signed by Bay FC. I think they traded for her from Kansas City, actually. So that's unfortunate. They lose her for the season. They did get a couple of goals one from Kayla Sharples in the 17th minute, and then one from Tess Bodie in the 78th minute. But those 5 goals were just too much to overcome. There's a lot of offense and no defense from both Kansas City and Bay FC at this point. So their current record is 2 wins, 3 losses. They're currently 8th in the NWSL, so there's still plenty of time to get it together and maybe sneak into the playoffs. Their next game is at the San Diego Wave at 7 p.m. San Diego actually just lost Alex Morgan to an injury as well. So,
oh, shit.
So we'll see. Maybe San Diego can't quite score as many goals now. We'll see how they're playing. I don't really know. I haven't really looked up on San Diego yet. I haven't done my homework yet on them. Ooh. But I know, shame on me. You know what? I almost wish this was a home game for the San Diego Wave coming up here, because I would have loved to have gone down to San Diego to see a game down there and cheer on Bay FC on the road. But it's a little too early in the season to get down there. And now they're playing at San Diego this week. Their opening game was in LA already, so that basically knocks out all the SoCal possibilities. So if I'm going to see them on the road, I basically have to get my ass up to Seattle or something. Yeah. So unfortunately, we'll see how they react to losing a very key piece on the defensive side.
Yeah,
it's going to be a little rough.
They
already weren't all that great defensively, so Bay FC needs people to step up. Maybe they can find some moves to make and try to counteract using that. And your dogs got distracted by something. Oh well. Okay, so
Mom's
that's
home.
Yeah, mom's home. All right, so that kind of brings us to the end of soccer, I think.
To the ice.
Yeah, let's move on to the ice. The Sharks lose both of their last games, and those games were not close. They get blown out 9-2 at Edmonton, and then they get blown out again 5-1 at Calgary to end the season. So they finish dead last. They secure the highest percentage chance to get the number one overall pick, which of course we hope we can celebrate with Celebrini. That's the wish right now. It's a 1 in 4 chance. It's the best chance of any team to secure the number one spot in the draft, and I really hope we get it. He's somebody that, like, the scouts are all saying he can be an Austin Matthews type, guy that just scored 70 goals this year. No big deal. He's they're not sure that he's like an everything guy, but he's a goal scorer, man. That guy, he could put the biscuit in the basket, man. This is this is a franchise altering type of player to get. He's like a Nathan McKinnon type, I think. So
absolutely. I mean,
I want this guy so bad.
The excitement level is just like, please.
And his dad obviously is a strength and conditioning coach with the Warriors, so he's been in the area already, just living here for several years too. So it'd be real nice to have him come back home. Come on home.
Yeah, I mean, the Sharks could really use it, having that star power injected into the franchise and have something to market to the fans, and just it changes the path of the franchise if you get it right or wrong, right? Like you're hoping it's right, but I mean, this could be a guy that continues to earn that second contract, that third contract, and he's a Shark for a really long time. That sets him apart, from other teams, and to go with the Sharks' other young talent, like
the Sharks have ripped it to the studs. Okay, this is the bottom. They've bottomed it out right here. There's a lot of pieces around that are kind of promising. There's a lot of players. Will Smith, we're looking at. He's probably going to be with the big team this year, this upcoming season. So I mean, there's a lot of cautious optimism as well. Just with the players that are already in the pipeline, and if we can add Celebrini in as well, that would be would fast track them to getting back to the playoffs sooner.
I'm assuming, it sounds like Will Smith is going to be playing next season. Mm-hmm. You got Eklund. And then if you draft Celebrini, I'm assuming he's going to be with the club, or
he would probably. I think he's NHL ready.
Yeah, so everything that I've read, he's NHL ready.
The Sharks are like the cupboard is not bare. Right. There's a couple other guys like Quentin Musty that's going to probably be on the big club as well, and I'm just.
And again, Musty, a lot of people are very high on Musty. They think he could be a game-changing player for the Sharks as well.
Yeah, we're I think 2 years away. If they land Celebrini, if they don't land Celebrini, there's still a lot of really good talent at the top of the draft besides him, but obviously nobody quite as good as him. So you're kind of. You hope for the number one overall pick. If you don't get it, you'll still get somebody really, really good. And maybe it's 3 years instead of 2 years before you're like really competing for playoffs and the franchise is on its way back. It's been 5 years.
If they get Celebrini, they're gonna win the cup. Just kidding.
Let's not put that expectation just yet. let's see. Let's let him experience the NHL first before we put those kind of lofty but fair expectations. I think. I want to see this team back. It's been 5 years. This is the 5th year since the 2019 was the last playoff run, and it's 2024 now. So and you kind of forget that because the pandemic screwed up everybody's sense of time. Time is a construct, right? But it has been 5 years since the last playoff run. So, and if you're talking 2 more years, we're looking at 7 years between the playoffs.
Oof.
And that's for a team that made the playoffs for close to 90% of their existence through 2019. That is a long stretch, And if
what
you
are
throw
your
out
thoughts
years,
on the general manager Greer and the job that he's doing?
I think he's doing great. I know a lot of fans are pissed off, but when you're in it like in the day to day, and you're trying to make these moves, you're trying to shed some really albatross contracts. I did it again, albatross right there. It's just super tough, and he's done an excellent job of getting good returns. Like some of these players that are in the system now, the Sharks have a top, rated system now. They were near the bottom after getting rid of Carlson and Hurdle and Brent Burns and like all these other trades that have happened. Suddenly now, the system is near the top, and that's not nothing. Mike Greer's doing the best he can, a pretty damn good job. The only regret I have right now is all 3 of the retention slots, which is if you trade somebody away, you can hold on to some of the money for other teams to help like offload some of those contracts. All 3 of our retention slots are filled right now. So that's while that's unfortunate, it's fine. Like, it kind of had to do what you had to do to get the trades to work, to get the players back that we got. Would you rather have worse players in the trade, or would you have a little bit better players and then just hold on to some extra money? And
it sounds like when some of these young players, let's say 2 years from now, that the Sharks start to get really good, you're going to have a ton of cap room to make a trade and bring in another superstar, or sign a superstar, or re-sign your own guys and keep a core group together. If you got 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that are really carrying the franchise, depending on what it looks like. But from what I understand, he had to tear this thing down because the Sharks were in financial hell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were like several circles in hell. Like they weren't even like just non-believers, Dante's Inferno. They were down deep, man.
And we've seen all of our teams in fairly recent memory be stuck in well, not the A's, but franchises stuck in cap hell. Like we see what the Warriors are going through. We see a little bit of what the 49ers are going through. Because of that wide receiver room, all of a sudden it gets expensive. So what do you do there? A few years ago, we saw the Raiders that were completely screwed over in the salary cap, and they had to tear everything down. So we've seen that with almost every franchise that we follow. And it's no different with the Sharks. I don't know what way you could have gone around it, stay competitive, keep all these contracts, develop young players, and financially just be fine. Like it just doesn't work that way all the time. So like what the Warriors are doing is the extreme outlier to pay, what is it, $400 million for a number 10 seed team?
Yeah, man, it's too much. We've seen this prophecy happen before, and hopefully.
But getting back to the Sharks, I think the future is bright. It's a great time to jump on board the bigger boat, and see what the
plenty of room on this bandwagon, baby.
Now's the time when you have the number 1 overall pick, or potentially the number 1 overall pick. Like now's the time to jump on. Get in right now before we get celebrating. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to wrap up win of the week. Tyler ended up beating me by half a game. Because neither of us were right in our predictions of this past week. So congrats to Tyler. You're not here to actually receive your congratulations. Feel better, bud.
A little bit of sad news, Vince. Sad news for one city, great news for another. The Phoenix Coyotes are no more, relocating their hockey operations to Salt Lake City. No name has been chosen.
Right.
But what you know of the Coyotes, the operation is moving.
Right.
And players and staff, and I think a small staff is staying with the owner back in Phoenix to try to help him sift through the rubble. But I mean, it's sad because the Phoenix Coyotes were putting together a really young team, and they have a lot of promising players, and they look very close to being competitive, possibly even next season.
Yeah, they're
right there.
They were going to be a trendy pick to make the playoffs next year in this offseason. And obviously they still will be, but now they're going to be doing it as the Utah to be determines. I actually I saw on Pat McAfee, the new owner Ryan Smith was on, and he was saying that at least the name may partially be chosen via bracket. Like the fans in Utah will get to vote on what they want to name the team. So it could end up being one of 8 different things. They're going to probably do that at some point soon. And I hope they end up with a good name. You know, I don't I think something cool might be like the Stingers or something, since they're the Beehive State. You can evoke the bees type of thing. But Stingers is not a name that currently exists in any professional sports in North America. So you don't really run into any issues with copyrights. I think about Utah Blizzard might be kind of cool, but then you've also got the Avalanche, you know, right next door in Colorado. So it's like kind of weather related themes kind of next to each other. I will say the move to Utah does mean that they do not have to realign anybody, because they were already in the Central Division. So those parts made it a little bit easier on the league itself. It doesn't make it any easier on the fans that are losing Arizona. And we said this last week, and just how devastated it is. Like, I hate it here for them.
I feel a little mixed. I feel so bad for the Phoenix fans that are losing their team, and losing a team that appears to be trending in the right direction and going to be competitive and possibly win a lot of games and compete. That was going to be your team. So let's say they win a Stanley Cup in the next year or 2 years. Ouch. You know, that's your team. Those players. My heart definitely goes out to the Phoenix fan because we're going through it with the Oakland A's. I'm not a Sacramento A's fan. I'm not a Las Vegas A's fan. The A's situation is not an apples to apples comparison to any other relocation. It's the owner didn't want to be here. The owner doesn't want to do business. It was in poor faith negotiations. This guy had no desire. And it's the same thing with Phoenix. The owner, shit owner. When you don't pay your rent and you're trying to avoid taxes and strong arm multiple cities into this, that, and the other, you don't deserve a team. Ideally, I wish what would have happened was the NHL forced him to sell the team to an investor who wants to keep them in Phoenix.
Right.
I do.
It's the mullet of it all, though. The arena is the problem.
Correct. I think that was the problem, and the site and this and that. I'm not saying I'm sticking up for the NHL, but where I understand where they're coming from is Salt Lake was probably going to be first or second in line for expansion. So this is kind of like hybrid expansion. You're moving this team over. You're leaving the Coyotes name in Phoenix, whether it's with the current owner or a new owner after 5 years, the Coyotes will return. And I think they're going to be probably number one in getting an expansion team because it can be supported with the right owner. I think the 5-year deal that they gave this knucklehead is good luck. Like if you get it done, great. But there's a whole bunch of parameters about how he needs to get there. So he can't just get the stadium, sell the team within a year. He has to keep them for 5 years. There's a whole bunch of things going on for him to get the franchise. I hope he doesn't get to keep the team.
Yeah.
But I will say at least there is hope and a very high chance that the Coyotes will return. So
yeah, the alchemy has to be just right for it to happen. Right.
With the A's, Jesus Christ, Vince, with the A's, doesn't seem like if the A's go to Sacramento, you'll most likely never see an MLB team in Oakland. If they go to Las Vegas, maybe, in my opinion, but you're not going to have 3 teams in Northern California.
No, absolutely not.
So I think that's kind of where it's a little different is Phoenix is probably going to get a team where
I would say
Oakland wouldn't.
As soon as Phoenix or Arizona has a arena in the right place, like Tempe or this place in the northern end of Phoenix by Scottsdale, they're doing like the land auction that's happening here,
right?
And I think Alex Morello is obviously he's trying to win that land auction, but because there was no certainty, that's kind of why the NHL kind of forced everybody's hand here, and it's unfortunate that the fans are caught in the middle of this, and you're going to be stuck with this guy, assuming he can get an arena built in the next 5 years. He also has to basically give a 1.5-year window.
Right.
If he plans, let's say he wins this auction in June. Okay. Then he basically has 5 years, 3.5 years from that point to get the arena like built and underway, or at least like most of the way built,
right.
If he has it close to built within the next 3.5 years, then obviously then Phoenix is back, and they'll be that area is a lot closer to the right spot. Where they were in Glendale is just it's way too far out, and it's too tough during traffic to get out there for a weekday game. But a lot of their fans were based in Scottsdale and in Phoenix, and it'll be a lot easier to get there. You're not having to drive 40. It's 40 minutes without traffic to get out to Glendale. With traffic, it's just impossible unless you call out sick or leave early.
Yeah,
to do that. So.
I've heard some fans say, it's 90 minutes, 2 hours, depending on where you live. You know.
Yeah, traffic in any major city, especially, is tough. And Phoenix has a lot of people living in it. It's still growing as well. So that's it's just tough. That's not where your fans are. So hopefully this new thing does work out, and also hopefully maybe it doesn't work out with this guy. Maybe he goes past the 5 years and somebody else is able to make something work, and the Coyotes get their team back in 6 years instead of 5, and it's with a new owner. I think that might be the best case scenario.
Absolutely.
And you're just kind of, if you're a Phoenix Coyotes fan, you're just kind of heartbroken for a little while there. It's just, it sucks, no matter what, but I want you guys back. I want Phoenix back. And the NHL stuck with this market. There was like one investment group was trying to take them out back in like 2013 or something like that. And the NHL put the kibosh on that. So like there's a history of bad ownership after bad ownership after bad ownership with the Coyotes. They never really had a fair chance to, prove their worth. And I think it will work when it gets done right. Now the question is, can this guy do it right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you see press conference? Did you see the full?
I did. I watched Brody's breakdown of the press conference.
Oh my god,
it's
awful. If you had
he's not good. He's not good in a press conference. I could see why he said he hates the media, because he's not good at it. Even though he owns a bunch of media, he's not good. He's
awful.
It was bad. Like it's not quite as bad as John Fisher, but it is not good, my dude, at all.
When Gary Bettman kept interjecting, let me clean this up.
Yeah,
and when he was, there was a couple of responses where Gary Bettman reacted like, why are you talking? Like, you could see his hands kind of like, why are you saying this? Like, what are you doing? Just shut up.
Yeah,
shut up. So yeah, he's just an awful owner. And it's sports franchises shouldn't be held captive by these owners. You know, it's like we've talked about this a lot. Be a steward of the game, a steward of the franchise. You know, and it's just too much. It's not just hockey. It's obviously with MLB, the NFL, their franchises, you know, they're threatening relocate the Bears and the Chiefs and this and that, because they want their $1 billion. The White Sox, the Royals, all these teams. Yeah. You know, the Marlins got the new stadium, can't figure out how to build a competitive team, and they're second to last in attendance. And there's already speculation in about 5 years they're going to start bitching about their stadium so they can try to move away. So
I hate it here.
It's just enough of this. Enough of the billionaires getting free stadiums. When cities fund a stadium, it hardly ever works out. The St. Louis Cardinals just built it. What, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, their new stadium, and they want to remodel it again. So it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So if Phoenix were to come back into the league, Vince, it would be very similar to the routine that we saw with the Golden Knights and the Kraken.
Yeah.
So they would pick from other teams.
It would be treated like an expansion. They could. Right. It would be the same process, and both of those teams have seen playoffs. They saw playoffs early. Like, I think it was the second year for Seattle. It was the first year right off the rip for Vegas. So the Coyotes will have a chance to be real good, real quick when they come back. So yeah, the fans will just have to, do it with a broken heart for a few years before they can, get the wins going forward, I think. And I really do want Phoenix to, get their team back. They didn't deserve this again. The fans are never to blame in situations like this. We've said it time and time again,
All right, Vince. I think that wraps up most of our major points.
Yeah.
We got 1 point after.
Yep. So this is going to be, I just want to say this right now before we hit the picture. The New York Jets traded Zach Wilson and a 7th round pick to Denver for a 6th round pick. Man, that was the number 2 overall pick. How
just
did it
get them
end?
Off our team?
It's just bad, I just did it again. Oh my God. I did pretty good. So yeah, let's put that meme up there, man. They traded away Russell Wilson for a sack of peanuts, and they're getting Zach Wilson, and he'll be competing for the starting job. They try to upgrade from Russell Wilson, and go back. They ended up with Zach Wilson, and I wonder if he'll get number 3 in Denver, because then you can just keep selling Wilson jerseys. You just got to rip the captain patch off. Might be a way to save money. I don't know. Could be fun.
Go back. Go back.
Go back. Delete.
Oh man.
Okay, so there is your meme of the week, and
so if anybody's out there watching or listening, even in the If you're not watching the live stream, if you're just watching later on, send us your favorite memes, and we're going to start featuring some of them here.
That's right. If your name is Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus, I just did it again.
You're a nerd.
All right, whatever. I can do it with a broken heart.
Okay.
I'm guilty as sin.
All right. Vince. That's the end of the show.
There it is. We're in at an hour. So good work, buddy.
You handle the wrap up.
You want me to handle the wrap it up? Okay. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Subscribe on YouTube at SVT Sports Pod. Hit the bell for alerts when we go live. Slide into them DMs. Give us all the memes, the fun pictures. What you thought about the Taylor Swift album. Let us know that too. And with that, I say good night.
Later, guys.